Did you see Chief Hanen's presentation to City Council 2 days ago?
No, I didn't see it. I've read the story that we had on it.
Okay.
But,
I think it's on YouTube.
Is it?
He's just like 5 minutes into the City Council meeting because they have the whole council meeting was on the link I
on
found.
YouTube. Okay.
And but if you're getting ready to write a story on any of that, you should watch his presentation.
Watch that.
His presentation covers it day by day. It was an excellent presentation.
Okay, that's good. I'm going to know that.
That'll help keep you from getting times and days mixed up like we tend to with that week.
That. And I can see where that would happen. It would just be a blur, of all these things happening.
Yeah.
With clouds,
Nope, it couldn't have been done better from the timeline aspect and the data of it. Plus, he covered everybody. I mean, I don't know that he missed anybody. He got everybody thanked. And
I was going to ask you. I really wanted to get into with you on here. One is the kind of specifics of fire. I could tell that Steph was not at all interested in that. So I thought, well, we could just save it. One thing, I want to kind of get a feel for, I want to know about some of the mechanics of fire, but I also want to know, like, for you and other firefighters out there, what it's, like what you're wearing and what it's like and how hot it is, like inside your gear and how heavy it is and things like that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
For fire in general, specifically to the fires we had?
Not specifically to these fires.
Okay.
And then when we get into the mechanics of fire, I mean, of course, I'm going to want to know, for purposes of the story, I'm going to want to know quite a bit about wildfires and some of those. Like, I keep hearing the things about, the tornadoes, the fire tornadoes. I don't know if that's a thing or not, or if that's a thing that happened out here, but I just keep hearing these different things about what happens in a wildfire as far as, like, kind of rushing air in and things like that. So I might have to give me some of that. But
okay.
For the story, for sure, I want on this. And then if there's, we could talk a little bit about just in general, but for this, I definitely want to know kind of like how you're geared up when you go out, and kind of how the heat hits you and different things. Like, I want to try to create, like, if I was trying to take somebody there, sense what it's like to be there. That's kind of what I want, like what that feeling is and what it looks like to you guys out there.
Sure. If you're going out on a brush truck to fight a grass fire and you're on HFD, we got I guess I got to step backwards. We got a grant a few years ago. You'll hear Chief Hanen talk about everybody being red card certified on the fire department. We did that a few years ago. We're the first department in the state of Kansas to do it, first full-time fire department to get everybody wildland certified.
Wildland certified.
Yeah, and it's called your red card, and we maintain that. But probably partially due to everybody having that certification, we got a grant a few years ago to get a full set of wildland gear. We have special boots, pants, jacket, helmets, gloves, face mask, goggles. We have a second full set of gear that's made for fighting wildfire. We had a jacket for a long time, but up before we had that jacket, if it's 100 degrees in the summertime and there's and you're getting these late summer drought type grass fires and you're going out on them, you have to wear bunker gear. And our bunker gear it's like a winter coat, with Nomex on the outside. So, then probably about 10 years ago or so, we got a lighter jacket to wear, so you'd still wear your pants and your boots, your bunker pants and boots, but you'd wear that jacket. And then up to here a few years ago, now we have a full set of wildland gear, and everybody has a big bag they carry it around in, and you got to keep it with you in case you need it, kind of a thing. But it's not as hot, it's not insulated, it's just the Nomex layer. We have some pretty high-speed masks that have it's this mask that velcros onto you, and it has filters that you can change in and out of it. Like it's like a kind of like a high-speed dust mask.
Okay.
But with goggles and the helmet, and not our big bulky leather bunker gloves that are insulated, but just more like a leather work glove, like you're used to seeing. So when you're out there fighting fire on something like that in March, it's funny, sometimes you go from wearing that stuff, and if you're out there all night long, you might change into your bunker gear because it gets cold.
Yeah.
You know, so there's some days where that stuff isn't warm enough. I'd rather have my bunker gear on because it's cold. The problem with wearing bunker gear on a grass fire is bunker gear is expensive, and you don't want to tear up your bunker gear fighting a lot of grass fires with it. You know, you only wear it when you need to. But like when I was out there, with the exception of the day that I went out, it was on K61. The whole time I was out there, I was in bunker gear because I was being sent each time for structural protection. And structural protection can be done in the wildland gear. It can be done very well in the wildland gear, but I always feel like if I'm on structural protection, I need to be prepared to fight a structure fire, like to pull up on one that's on fire, and I want to be ready for that. So I wore my structural gear both Sunday and Monday because I was on an engine. That was what I was doing.
So you're in your bunker gear then, most of this time.
Yeah, my regular bunker gear that I would wear, you know, on a regular structure fire.
And that's what everybody kind of thinks of when they see like the heavy pants, the heavy jacket.
Yeah. A lot of the volunteers that were showing up, they don't have brush gear, so they're all wearing bunker gear, no matter what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you know, guys who are rolling out on brush trucks from here they're probably wearing their brush gear, you know, for the most part. But a lot of us who were on structural engines and who were literally called to do structural protection, who were specifically called to do structural protection, a lot of us were probably still wearing our structural gear, what you're used to seeing.
Does that include that includes a mask, right? But you don't have that on all the time, right?
No, I just would have had the boots and pants, the coat. As far as a helmet, if I was putting on a helmet, I was probably throwing the Wildland helmet on because it's smaller and lighter. I was wearing some lighter gloves. They were gloves I purchased, but some lighter work gloves, not my heavy bunker gloves, and of course no mask, no hood. You know, we were like the night that we were on 56, that Monday night, we were on 56 all night long. When the state was doing that backburn, we were basically extinguishing that backburn along the road behind them, and then we were waiting for the head fire to come to 56th. I say waiting. We were maintaining 56. You know, there was a brush unit that was near me on 56th Street, one of our brush units, and we were only doing what we could do from the road. We kind of had a neat little setup. We've got a front bumper line. Well, the way we were having to move and fight fire and move and fight fire, we couldn't do our traditional hose loads all the time. We were having to kind of come up with something that worked better for that situation. So we were just had a rhythm to the way we'd stretch out 100 feet of hose, use it, and then the driver would shut it down. The firefighter would go to bleed it off. I'd walk the hose out. He'd bring the nozzle back, and then we'd start loading the hose back up in the bumper. We were kind of tying it up like a standpipe bumper, like we'd carry up into a high rise or something. So we were doing that, but we were having to do all that from the road. But there was a small brush unit that was near us that every time that something was going on, they needed to go in and take care of some cedars or something just off the road. They were doing a lot of that, and the captain that was on the back of that little brush unit was eating a lot of smoke. He clogged his filter up, like he filled it up to where he couldn't breathe through it anymore. So he didn't have his spare with him, or he'd already used his spare, one or the other, and he came and asked us if we had a spare filter, and I happened to be carrying mine in the netting of in the inside of my hard hat, you know, my Wildland hard hat, so I was able to just give him one and get on down the road. That was something that we'd never thought of before, and the training chief actually had to order a case of those, because after the fire, guys are like, hey, you know, I'm out of filters for my mask, and we'd never thought about replacement on them. So maybe somebody has, but I'd never thought about replacement for them. So everybody had to go get one who needed one, go grab one from him.
The smoke, was it pretty steady? I mean, in some of these places, like, is there like zero visibility in some of these places?
In some places, there's zero. Yeah, I mean, it depends on where you're at and when you're at. The funny thing about a fire that size, you're seeing the smoke column because of all the heat and because it's going up.
Yeah.
but the fire's that size because of all the wind. The wind's doing all it can to lay all that smoke down.
Yeah.
It just depends on where you're at and what you're doing right then and there. You know, sometimes some wildfires they're just a smoky mess. Other times, it's going up. Yeah.
But the wind made it smokier on the ground,
Yeah.
probably. Right?
It wants to lay it down. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's not, and what you breathe in and what's clogging up your filters and what's you end up, you know, when you blow your nose for the next few days, it's black that comes out of your ears and your eyes, and it was coming out of me for better part of a week this time, I think, because we spent so many days in it. But where that black is coming from actually isn't so much the smoke. We operate from the black, from that burned area. There's the black and there's the green.
Yeah.
And we operate from the black because the green fuel can burn yet, and that's not the safe place to be. So when you're driving through that black, I don't know if you went out and saw any of it, but you can see every tire track that's driven through a black area.
Yeah.
And actually, there's no black there anymore. It's back down to the tan ground, you know, the brown ground, and it's not there anymore because as the tires go, it kicks it up in the air, and that's the stuff that covers you when you come out. You're just covered in black from touching your face.
Those are more ash. Is it kind of and that's what gets in your nose and in your lungs and everything.
More so,
right?
yeah. Because those are big particles that stick.
Okay. Like anytime I've done sheetrock and I've gypsum dust in my
At my age, I'm complaining about you find a chest hair or something once in a while, and I tell Stephanie, I haven't done sheetrock for years, but I've got one hair that's just simply covered in sheetrock dust. I don't know where that came from. It's just pure white.
Yeah, that's funny. This is off topic, but a friend of mine one time, I was working on a house, and I was talking about how awful the sheetrock work is. The finishing work on sheetrock. And he said, that's why those guys that do sheetrock for a living they're all drunks. And I said, no, they're not. He said, yeah, they are. And one time I was working and I had put like a 6-pack of beer in the fridge and completely forgot about it. As soon as I was done with this sheetrock job I was working on, my brain instantly reminded me that there was beer in that refrigerator. It was the best thing ever.
That's awesome.
Oh man. So it's more the ash that's in the oven. The smoke is one thing, but the ash is what you guys end up.
The smoke is no good.
Yeah.
But you usually end up rectifying that situation one way or another.
Yeah.
You know, you either put out the fire that's causing the smoke that you're eating, or because to be in the smoke, you're pretty close to it.
Yeah.
You know, you're either putting it out or you're moving yourself out of the downwind area to take care of it. You can't just we're not superhuman. We can't just sit there and breathe smoke, you know, all day long. But a lot of the stuff that ends up clogging up your filters and did you see the picture I shared on Facebook of the guy that showed his he took a picture of his air cleaner on his pony motor,
I'm not
his air
sure
filter.
if I saw that or not.
If I find it, I'll just tag you in it.
Oh, that'll be good.
And it's really, really clogged. I mean, I don't think I've ever had one like that after one day. But this was on everybody. Everybody's truck looked like this. I'll show you. Get to it.
And you probably are changing out all the air filters on all your vehicles too, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's after one day. That was a clean air filter on a pony motor, and the reason these pony motor ones clog up so quick is because they're just sitting on the back of the truck and they run the whole time. Because when you need water, you don't need to stop and get out and start it.
Yeah.
You know, so they run a lot. And
oh my God.
Yeah, that's after one day. That's what it does. And this is somebody from Darren Jackson. He's from a fire department somewhere else.
Oh really?
I don't even know who he is. But
oh wow. Yeah. So yeah, that's what that's doing to you guys too, right?
Yeah. And and he says that's what our nose hairs look like. And of course, I shared this. My mom comments on it and says, "What about your lungs?" And I made some comment about my nose hairs. Nose hairs are a pretty good filter or something. But anyways,
that's the idea, right?
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit. So you're in your bunker gear, and it's pretty heavy and pretty. How much does it weigh?
Just the gear?
Yeah.
Without the air pack and stuff, 20, maybe 30 pounds, depending on how much stuff you carry around with you.
And then when you put your air pack and everything on, how much is it?
You know, I always hear different numbers. I think somebody said the other day that they had put all their stuff on a weight and it was 60. But again, that depends on your gear, depends on what you got with you. Depends on how big you are too, because big bunker gear weighs more than little bunker gear.
Yeah, that's true. So at some point, like at the place where you were cut off, you did gear all the way up, right?
As far as we put our air packs on our backs,
Okay.
nobody had to put their masks on. And basically, the point of that was because if we were going to have to go in the building and ride this thing out, basically, if we failed to put it out, and okay, it's going to catch the building on fire now. One of the things that we learned in the class the week before, and that we specifically talked about, was that you can ride it out inside the building. So basically, the plan would have been to go just inside the door, away from the heat of everything else that was going on, and it was going to be pretty okay inside the building for a while until the wildfire had blown through, and ride it out in there. And then if the smoke got thick inside the building while we were waiting to get back out, then we could clip in.
You told me a little bit about this the other night, but how the fire was in a driveway, right? You had the fire in front of you.
Yeah, the driveway ran east-west.
Okay.
And the house was off the west side of the road.
And the house was which way?
Off the west side of the road.
You said you know the people that you were at.
Like I say, when I was there, I thought they'd moved. I didn't realize it was still their house.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
But yeah.
I know you're kind of wanting to like not put their names out there necessarily. Would you give me the address so I can look at it on a map? And I won't publish it. I
Sure.
just want to look at it to make sure when I try to describe some of this that I get it right.
I'm going to get the address right, so I'll just bring it up.
Because you showed me the Google map the other day.
Oh, I did?
I think so, but I think you did, but I kind of want to make sure that when I'm writing, I can look at it and see kind of the scenery of that.
I don't think we did this the other night. I brought 9415 up. I think it's 9411.
Okay.
But this is the house and driveway. So when we were initially called, we were initially when they called for everybody, we were supposed to report to the fire station 43 in Plum. They were going to kind of assign people from there. Well, we didn't even stop. You know, by the time we're pulling up, they're like, "Hey, go ahead and go to 9411 North Plum." So we pulled up. As we're driving through here from about half mile south of 95th, it was fire blown across the road and brush trucks everywhere. We had to work our way through this fur ball, and we're lucky just to get through it, you know, without having a problem. We got to 95th Street, and it's like, well, we passed it because we're at 95th Street now. So 9411 behind us. So we pulled in here to turn around. There was 3 cars sitting there with people in them. Of course, I get out of the truck and I'm like, "You've got to go. You've got to go now." And realizing that this was a mess that our engine wasn't built for, I got on the radio and told my chief. I said, we couldn't get to 9411, but we're here at 9501, and it needs structural protection. He said, "No, go to your assigned structure." So we got back in the truck, and that's where we went and stopped at this first mailbox. we couldn't see it from the truck. I had to get out and go up and look at it because of all the smoke and everything going across the road.
So when you're coming back this way, you can't even, you had to get out of the truck and look and get close enough to look at the mailbox.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course saw that was 9415. I think I ended up just walking down to 9411 and saw that it was 9411. Got back on the truck, not knowing at the time that would have got us to the same place. I wasn't looking at this at the time. But so we got on this driveway, and of course we have to stop about here and wait on a brush truck that was in the way, and then we get over here, and here we're stopped right here waiting to make this left turn to get to our structure, and there's a brush truck coming out that way. We're kind of having this standoff, like one of us got to go, like one of us got to move, and somebody came up and jumped on the side of my engine and said, hey, you're on task force, it was either 2 or 3, you're on task force 2 now, switch to such and such channel. So I did, and then they finally moved, and then we get down the driveway here, this whole long driveway, and parked right out here was a big brush truck, and they were already beginning structural protection and stuff on this house.
Okay.
So we backed our engine up right there next to where that truck and trailer is, and I had my firefighter stretch a line around this side, bring it as far around here as he could. These are the cedars. This is the trees that were going to catch the house on fire. That were going to, when they went up, that was what was going to be the problem here.
Okay.
And so the captain on the other brush truck, he'd already pulled the propane grill from back here and pulled it out away on the other side. He turned on the sprinkler system, and my driver was here at the truck pump, and my firefighter's back here on the line. I basically told them, I've got some stuff to do. I need you to let me know if this changes. And, I pointed to the trees. Let me know if this isn't going well. And at that point, I went around and checked the front door on here, and it was open. And we end up opening up the garage and putting the grill inside the house. Okay. But it was open, so I knew that we could get in there if we needed to. That's when I went and told the driver, go ahead and put your air pack on your back. Not to put it on, but to have it with
ready.
you. Yeah. And so then we cut the cover off that pool and threw it off there, and got a couple chairs and set up against it, and then saw that tornado shelter and got it cleaned out and ready to go. And so by the time that had all happened, and then that first evacuation, whatever you want to call it.
Is this Rick and Rondi's house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That first evacuation was called, and what had happened is there's still fire back here because we can see the glow, but we can't see the fire. I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know where it's moving. I think looking at this, what's happening is probably it's just still in these trees.
In the trees there.
And the head fire had gone like this.
Okay.
So this stuff here never burned. It still hasn't. But the fire did this, and as they called that first evacuation, I can't get down the road. I can't get down this, this quarter-mile long driveway to get back to Plum Street. And that's what I got on the radio and told Chief Martin, is that I'm not going to make it to Plum Street, but we have a safe place here. We can ride it on the tornado shelter.
I kind of want to draw this
Sure.
out so when I look at it, I can see. So here's Plum, and this is. I didn't do this quite as well as I would like. Maybe I should.
You probably did.
This way.
Yeah, there you go. Make that Plum.
I need more of that. And I need. This is just so when I look at it on a thing.
Sure.
Let's see. And this is 9411.
Yeah.
Is that right? And like I said, I won't put it out there. I just need to see. So there's trees here.
Yep, trees here.
And over here too, right?
Yeah.
But you think these trees are on fire?
Yeah, and we can't see them. They're through the trees that we couldn't see the fire from the trees.
Okay. But then the head fire had kind of moved like this.
Yeah.
So kind of, if I drew like that, is it something like that?
Yeah, pretty much everything from when they called that first evacuation, everything from here on was on fire.
Okay.
We weren't going to make it down the driveway. Not with the equipment we had, for sure.
Okay.
And that
so
was like
you're
I say,
okay here, but just this here in front of you.
Yeah.
And you still have this going here, and you don't know what's going to happen here.
don't know what's going to happen. So that's why I say we weren't trapped by fire. We were cut off.
Yeah.
It's not like it had us pinned
Didn't
down
have you
per
surrounded.
se.
Yeah.
But we were cut off. We couldn't get back to everybody else.
Okay.
And Then, of course, that first one was recalled. Nope, that was a mistake. So we're going to stay here and fight fire. And then 10 minutes later, hey, we are going to go. By the time that happened, this had burned off enough and it was gone that we were going to be able to make it out. And I told him it'd be a few minutes, but we're coming.
Okay.
You know, we had to gather up hose, and we went in and got a few things out of their house for them. And
At that point you left, you thought maybe this house is going to go.
yeah,
Right.
we thought that what we were seeing here was eventually going to make it here.
Okay.
That was our impression of it. As it turns out, it never happened.
Didn't happen.
We could have stayed there.
Really?
I mean, safely, you know.
Yeah.
But sure didn't know that at the time.
Okay. Trying to see where I was at. So the fire wasn't like right there by you, but can you feel heat off of that fire even now?
Not that one, no.
How far away was that, do you think?
Probably a few hundred yards.
Okay.
200 or
So
300.
You don't feel, but you can see the glow in
Yeah.
the trees. Okay.
And we knew which way the wind was blowing.
Yeah, and it was towards you.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, there's some, and you told me you had 2 other guys with you, and you gave me their name, and they were cool. Like they were all right. Like you
Yeah.
told them it's going to be all right. You had one rookie.
Yep,
He
the
wasn't
rookie.
worried. We were a little bit worried.
you know,
you asked him if he was scared, and you told him.
I wanted to make sure that he understood the gravity of the situation. So I said, I just wanted to make sure that he understood that what was going on. I said, you scared? And he said, yeah. I said, you should be, because I am too. I also didn't want to make him think that you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. You need to understand. Yeah, that it's serious. Yeah. Okay. I was going to ask you. Well, before I move into some of the specifics about fire and whatnot, I was going to ask you. There's just some like details I want to get. Like we talked the other day, and you said you thought that. And I'm trying to remember. I have to go back through my notes or through the recording and listen. But I talked about the barbecue guys that came in. And you said, yeah, I think I was getting ready to eat that when I got called out. Was that on Monday, or do you remember?
That was on Monday.
That was on Monday. So that's when this happened.
Yeah.
When you got called out. Do you remember what you were eating? Like, did you have a plate in front of you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And what'd you have on it?
Basically, I think they were called in not because of the fire that was about to
Because
happen.
what had
They were
happened.
called in for the Jupiter Hills.
Okay.
Was how he got here. It was some barbecue guy that brings in pounds and pounds. I think it's the same guy we're talking about.
I actually want to do a story on this because I think that Heenan indicated that it's like a organization.
Yeah.
Like they haul this barbecue gear out, or all their barbecue
All the
food.
stuff's donated. It's
Yeah.
totally free of charge. I mean,
That's a really cool deal.
so what had happened is they took all that to the CTC, which was kind of the hub, for all the stuff like that. And there were 2 engines. It was engine 1 and engine 5 at my station that day. I was called back to man engine 5, and me and the other captain basically flipped a coin, or somehow. I think we actually literally flipped a coin.
Oh, really?
And so he made the food. He made the run to get the food for everybody at the CTC and bring it back to the station. And we got plates made. It was a sandwich. It was a smoked pork sandwich, and I honestly can't remember what all I had for sides on the plate, but I know I'd sat down and I'd taken one bite of that smoked pork sandwich, and the bells went off. Or the bells didn't go off first. Chief Heenan made the call over the radio for all structural engines. And it was already not looking good. We were in a hurry to hurry up and eat. I mean, we weren't dilly dallying. We were trying to get it in us, and
Yeah.
I got one bite. It was time to go.
And then, how long was the? I think you may have told me this the other night too, but when was the next chance you had to eat?
We got to go to. They had a rehab area of sorts set up at Plum Creek, and we went there at. It was the middle of the. I want to say it was like 3 in the morning. I can't be positive exactly on the time, but I want to say it was well after midnight that everybody went there. We got fuel and water and Gatorade, and they had food.
There's probably I wouldn't put this in the story either, but there is a like there. I think you guys have to have conversations about bathroom, like what happens with using the bathroom, right? Like you can't just like in the middle of all of this. How does all of? I'm just curious. How does all that work?
You know, the whole time fighting fire isn't all. It isn't all blowing and going crazy.
Yeah.
Honestly, when you're working like that though, and there's not a lot of water to be had. We carry a little water jug on the truck. You know, if we know something like this is coming, and I don't know what all we had on the truck, but you'll put bottles of water, you'll carry something extra, or box of granola bars or something. But you'll go. I mean, you go out there and do this all day long. You don't pee. You don't need to.
You dehydrate. You're burning it all up.
Yeah.
And, that makes sense.
And it's also one of the deals where what little you might have to, you're not thinking about it. But if it does slow down before you do,
you go. Yeah.
You go.
It's just one of those things I always think about. Like, there's still like the functioning of the human body still has to happen.
There's a roll of toilet paper on most fire trucks. You know.
So.
There is. You remember Palacio? You've been around long enough.
Yeah.
Joe Palacio.
Yeah.
Well, he used to come around once a year, and Deerdoff kind of does the same thing, but he'd come around once a year and kind of do a. It was when we did the United Way, and he'd talk about the fire department, you know, kind of give us a pat on the back, whatever. And I know one year he did it. I think it might have been said more than 1 year, but he said, he says, I never get complaints about you guys. He said, the other city departments, I'll get complaints because they look like they're not working, or, because they in the quick shop and they whatever. But he said, I never get complaints about you guys. Oh, wait, no, I did get one complaint. Yeah, somebody complains they saw one of you guys peeing behind somebody's shed, like at a fire or something, like a structure fire. And those are the worst because you get woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and you do have to pee.
Yeah.
But you go, and then you go fight fire, and then it's like, you're going to be there for a couple hours doing overhaul and stuff, and it's like, all right, let's see, there's a shed, there's no lights, I'm going to go behind that shed. Yeah, and it happens. It happens everywhere. It's not unique to Hutchinson. It's not unique to us.
Well, it has to happen, right? I mean, It's not like
and if people don't like it, the other option is paying for a porta potty to be brought to every incident of ours, just in case.
Yeah. Seems like a small consideration.
Small trade-off. Yeah.
It's funny. Well, I get off topic on that, but those are the kind of things not only get curious about.
Sure.
It's part of it, right? It's like we do these things, but there's still like real basic things like eating and sleep deprivation and dehydration and going to the bathroom. It still happens despite all these things going on. So then you're down. You're on Main at with Engine 5. Is that right? Whenever the food comes, that's where you're at when the food comes in.
Yep.
Okay. And I think your other notes kind of have that's like after you've been doing the dump fire.
The dump fire was Saturday, and then the Highlands. Actually, in the Highlands, I was there on Sunday. There was only 2 engines from Hutch there on Sunday and a battalion chief, so we were there doing that Sunday, and then. I went home Sunday night at like 8 o'clock and was called back in at 11 o'clock the next morning to man Engine 5.
And that would be on Monday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was called at 11 o'clock in the morning. Steph and I were taking the dogs to get
Oh yeah, you had the vet appointment.
Yeah, we're going to the vet with both dogs, so we've got them in the back of my truck. That's the vehicle that we can haul both dogs in, and we're heading towards the vet in South Hutch, and then I get the phone call, and it's like, well, he said go to Engine 5. So we went there, and she dropped me off, and went and took care of everything else. And here's the funny part of that: since she dropped me off, I didn't have a vehicle.
Oh yeah.
So I was there all night that night, from 11 o'clock all to the next shift, and then See, all night that night, and then the next day I woke up and we had to. I thought I was on engine 5. I ended up on engine 1 and then engine 7 at station 7 throughout the day on Tuesday. Tuesday night, I went out and was on the fire line on K61. And we were working there. So I get off work on Wednesday morning. I still don't have a vehicle. I don't have a way to get home. And the Johnson County Fire District 2 was covering our station at that time. And the Johnson County Battalion Chief actually gave me a ride home.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So so you're actually on. You're doing your thing. Tell me about your dogs. What are their names?
Lex and Isla. Iyla.
Spell that again for me.
Iyla.
Lex and Isla.
Yep.
And what breed?
German Shepherd.
German Shepherds. Both of them.
Yep. They're each about 100 pounds. Big dogs.
Male and female.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And we're just as like a routine shot thing for them, or
I think so. I can't remember now.
when you well, I guess I'll just kind of leave it open and say and this I know might be a little bit different, but can you just kind of like during this whole process, were there any like thoughts or feelings or kind of, I don't know, just like when I'm not fighting fires, but there are times where like the workload gets pretty heavy and I start to think, how am I going to manage all of this? And I can feel kind of like a physical, like, okay, I'm getting frustrated, or I'm getting, like, I have to like back away from this and manage my work. I was actually talking to somebody about this today, like, I have to like back away and take hold of all the things that are, out there that need to be done and decide in which order they're going to happen. And this person wants their work first, but it's not going to happen first. And I start to feel that kind of like overwhelming or anyway, it kind of has a physical manifestation. Like I can feel it start to kind of, do you have anything that goes on like that whenever these things are happening?
When you're at work that much, and I work, 72-hour shifts or 96-hour shifts, that happens, where you end up, you take a shift of overtime or something, you end up working 3 or 4 days in a row. So you get used to, as far as my business goes. If I'm not going to be there for 3 or 4 days, my dad picks up the slack of the stuff that I normally do. Takes care of stuff like that. Talking about the family aspect of it, at home, it's up to Stephanie and the kids to take care of everything that I would normally take care of at home on their own. And they're good at it, They do a good job of it, and they have to, because if I'm worried about that, I can't worry about work. So I have to count on them, and I can. And at work, you see this whole big incident. Yeah. And you're like, how does Craig figure out how to deal with this whole big incident? I don't have to. Yeah. I'm one company. I have 2 guys working for me in that one company, generally. But my one company gets an assignment, and I complete that assignment. I'm task level. The folks who really are going to wear the burden of it and carry the stress of it, and oh my goodness, how am I going to do all this stuff, are people above me, even one level above me, the battalion chief level. And actually our battalion chief level, and you'll hear Chief Hanen talk about it, our battalion chief level in this fire was filled by acting battalion chiefs. Mm-hmm. To keep the day-to-day stuff running in the organization, they actually, I assume they did, came up with this 12-hour rotation that we went into. Oh yeah. It was totally different. We weren't on our crews, didn't matter. We have gold, red, and blue crew, and during that 12-hour rotation, crews didn't matter. They basically took the people that are working right now and said, okay, you guys are this group, you guys are this group, and you guys are this group. What they do, they did. I think they might have done A, B, and C. Yeah, they did A shift, B shift, and C shift, because they couldn't call it gold, red, and blue because we're mixed up.
Mixed up, okay.
So anyways, but those people had a lot had a lot to worry about as far as do I do this first or do I do this first? What do I get done? The Chief Hanen out there at the command center, he had a lot to worry about as far as keeping things organized, but he relies on the people below him to do their jobs, and they rely on the people below them to do their jobs. We use that organization every day.
Yeah.
We use the incident command system on our smallest on some of our smallest incidents. If 2 units show up to a car accident, we implement the incident command system and use it.
Okay.
It's not necessary to getting that car accident taken care of, but when you use it every day, when it is time to have a bigger incident and grow it, it's more natural. So me being a very low part of that incident command system, I have one task to accomplish generally at a time.
Still, though, it still requires you, to pull extra shifts and extra. You're working more than normal, and
Much more than normal,
and that affects a lot of other things going on. Like you said, your business, your flooring business, you're not doing anything on that while this is happening.
Yeah.
You guys talked about just like to go to one specific thing, like you didn't get to say in person goodbye to Steven.
Right.
Because he was leaving. This definitely took him. So that's normal, and you guys comes with the territory. But do you have any kind of wish I could have seen him,
Sure.
seen him off,
Sure.
kind of thing. But it's just part of you kind of accept it though, right?
You get used to it. I've been doing it for 16 years, and all the Christmases and birthdays and school programs, all the stuff that happens on holidays and evenings and weekends that most folks who have an 8-to-5 job are just accustomed to going to. My family, I think, has got more accustomed to not having me there because I always seem to be working when stuff gets scheduled,
Yeah.
And
that's how it goes.
I think you just get used, you get used to, well, I missed that one because I had to work.
Yeah. So you're okay with that, but
I'd have rather been there.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to gain from dwelling on it.
Talk to me about when it all settled down and you get back home. I think we may have talked a little bit about this the other night, and feeling like kind of like the shifts are kind of returning back to normal, and when you start to feel when you're getting back into like somewhat normal, like this is mostly past, and maybe you get back into was there a moment where you're like, okay, finally, like I can take my breath and things are kind of back to normal now?
It was a week later before I felt like I was caught up between home and the flooring store. It was 2 weeks later before. It was 2 weeks later before we were officially back on our normal work schedule and our normal routine at work. And it was probably 3 weeks later at work before I really felt like we were back on our normal routine and our normal, before things were like they were before.
Yeah, you say that was 3 weeks
Yeah.
before?
But the department officially for the next 2 weeks, we didn't have, normally every day there's classes and there's training and there's certain things you're supposed to get done every day and stay on top of this. All that stuff was put aside for 2 weeks so we could get the equipment taken care of, get ourselves taken care of.
Oh yeah, because you guys would have had you're supposed to have this kind of training,
Yeah.
whatever, and then
They,
all that
they
gets
canceled all that
blocked
for
off.
2 weeks. Yeah. And it was necessary. It wasn't Christmas. It was just necessary. It was to make sure because we need to get everything squared away.
And what do you have to do? I hadn't really considered that much, but what do you have to do after something like this? Like change the air filters?
Sure. Lots of maintenance on equipment and lots of cleaning on equipment, locating of equipment. Making sure you have everything, and if you don't have it, where is it? So then you're putting out department-wide emails, to all the stations saying, hey, we're missing a radio off of engine such and such, or getting hose back where it needs to be. The stations were kind of a disaster.
I can imagine so, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I guess you wouldn't think about that either, but there's probably not much for like putting things back, where they belong right afterwards or anything like that when all of this is going on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it took probably 2 weeks to get kind of back to like where that's all kind of taken care of, and and you guys can kind of start moving ahead again a little bit, right? Okay, I want to get some real. You've been with the department for 16 years.
Mm-hmm. November 2000.
November of 2000. Okay, and what's your rank? I guess.
Captain.
Captain.
Currently assigned Engine 1 on the Gold Crew.
Engine 1 on what?
Gold Crew.
Gold Crew. Is Gold Crew how you break up the what's Gold Crew?
We have 3 different crews. One of those crews is on duty every day. So when I go to work every day, it's all Gold Crew members.
Oh, okay.
My battalion chief's on the Gold Crew. Everybody, all the other stations is Gold Crew.
Okay.
And so the Gold Crew, maybe this week, Gold Crew works Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the Blue Crew is working Thursday, Saturday, Monday.
So that's kind of like how you say this is the group of people that are working on these days.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of the departments do it different ways. There's A shift, B shift, and C shift, or there's the colored crews. There's different ways they call it,
But that's how they do it here.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? And then of course you have the flooring business, which you do, and it's on Main Street, right?
325.
Do you own that building, or do you?
No, we rent.
You rent it.
Yeah.
Who owns the building?
Bob Ging.
Is it very expensive? I mean, I'm not to pry too much, but I've wondered about renting like something for like Mitch's Music. About wondering if there's like a place to rent to turn into like a kind of like a concert venue. But I wondered how much those buildings are downtown.
We have that storefront, and then we have a shop behind us, and together they're $1,500 a month.
Okay.
There's smaller places, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's a pretty good size one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's not bad.
Okay, I'm trying to think of what else. And you and Steph have been married 6, 7 years?
Not that long. We've been married. Shoot, we did this last year. See, we moved in the house at the very last days of 11. I think we got married in 2012. Nope. Would have been very first part of 2013. So all of 13, all of 14, all of 15, all of 16. We've been married for 4 years.
But together,
5, 6 years.
okay.
I think. Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. Okay. Did you have a lot of work from the shop waiting for you? I mean, from the flooring?
I did. There's certain things that just I take care of there, and all that accounting type stuff.
Yeah.
All that was waiting for me when I got back, and it took me a solid week, maybe a little better to get to where I felt like I had got stuff done that I missed.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, I think I need to go to the bathroom, and then I want to move to some of the fire nerdiness.
Sure.
If that works.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I'll be here.
All right.
Well, no, he passed in October. Sure. 60 is the one I want. Yeah. Okay. I got you. Okay, thanks. Love you. Thanks. Okay.
So I guess I should have. I'm gonna do this.